Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Lisa Nichols here with Terra Strategies, and we are just about to start the Instagram for Basics workshop. So I want to welcome you guys to the workshop. Happy you're here, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I typically do this in person, so online is going to be a little bit different, and I'm actually have a slideshow together with a lot of screenshots, so I'm planning to share all of that with you. And so I want to get started. Before we dive into anything else, as I said, I want to welcome you guys to the workshop. For those of you that are just watching it on the recording and can't ask questions live, if you want to go into my group, the Social Visibility Society, it's a free Facebook group. If you want to go in the group after you see the recording and you have questions, tag me there. It's actually the best way to reach me. If you're not part of the group, I'll be sure to include the link in the chat. I'm not sure if you can see the chat. Okay, go to Facebook, Social Visibility Society is the name of the group, request an invite, and then you're on. So again, if you have questions after this about the material that I've gone over, because I do talk fast, and we're going to cover a ton of awesome stuff, then go in the group and tag me or email me, lisa@terrastrategies.com, and I'll be happy to answer your questions. But if you're asking them, probably other people are too, so going in the group is a great way to do that. So if everyone's ready to get started, I am going to put up the slideshow now, and you guys are mostly going to see the slideshow, so give me a second to do that. And here we go. And I'm going to start this slideshow from the beginning. Okay, cool. So this is our slideshow. You're in Instagram Basics. Hopefully everybody's in the right place. I know you are. And I want to dive in and get started because I have a ton of stuff to go over. We have about an hour and a half. I'm probably going to try and leave a little bit of time for questions. So if there aren't really any questions, that's cool. I usually run right up against my time frame. So it'll all work out well. So before we do anything on Instagram, I want to encourage everybody to be consistent and be authentic. And I think authentic is a buzzword that we hear a lot, and maybe not everybody knows what it means. Like, what's it mean to show up as your authentic self? What's it mean to be authentic? And I think for me, it means that you have to be sure that your personality filters through any social media that you're doing. Because if you're trying to create this business persona that's not true to you, I think that your followers can see that, and then they feel that you're not being genuine, and then they don't want to buy from you. Like, above all, remember that people buy from you because they get to know you, they like you, and they trust you. And when they do that, they will start to buy from you. So the whole idea on social media in general is to create a way for people to get to know, like, and trust you so that they will then buy from you. And so think you need to start in all things on social media with being consistent and being authentic. So by consistency, I mean you need to basically to post a certain amount of times on your social. Don't post a bunch of stuff one week and then post nothing the next week, which is what I've been doing on my Instagram account sadly this week. Try and post regularly to keep it up, because by being consistent, people see that you're always present and always listening. And then being authentic, just infuse your social media with your personality. If you're trying to attract your ideal clients, they need to know what you're about and what you stand for and who you are in order to buy from you. And so for me, that's what authenticity means. And I'd like to encourage you on any social platform that you're doing to let your true self show through. I was at a training a few weeks ago, and they actually said that was something like 75% of the people, it was some crazy high number, 80%, want to know what you stand for in this world. So whether it's, helping other women business owners, animal rights, which are mine, being sure that women rise above in politics, all of that, people want to know what you stand for. And you may alienate some people, but you're going to find your real followers and your real clients. And so that's what it's all about. So just be authentic in what you do. But remember, you're in social media. So if your authenticity is cursing all the time, then, pick your platform and where to do that, and maybe, be careful about it. So I wanted to say that before we started, because I think it's kind of at the crux of everything we do on social media. And then the next part is to find your tribe. And I say this because a lot of people are looking to get more online followers. And you don't necessarily know your online followers. In fact, I always get asked about buying Instagram followers or buying followers on other platforms, mostly Instagram. And I always recommend against it, because I don't think unless you're trying to boost your numbers to make it look good, those people aren't going to become your fans and they're not going to become your clients. They're just going to kind of sit there and be your fake followers. Instagram's also cracking down on this too. So I encourage people never to buy followers. Like, it has to be a very specific reason, and I still don't think it's a good idea. I think you're much better growing organically with people who are more likely to purchase your goods or services. And that's why I say find your tribe. So for me, whenever I go somewhere, I encourage people to follow me on Instagram and join my Facebook group. And a lot of those relationships that I start in person, I carry through to my social platforms. So especially on Instagram, a lot of people are looking to connect with other people. Do it in an organic way that makes it seem genuine. And I think you're going to be much better off if you do that. Find your tribe of girls that want to follow you and comment on your stuff, because when you find your tribe, those are the people that are going to be commenting and driving up your likes and engagements. So by find your tribe, when you meet people, connect with them on Instagram, ask them to follow you, follow them, be interactive with them. And those are the people that are always going to comment on your stuff and make it look like you have tons of engagement, so that other people will be drawn to it. So I always think that's a great idea. And the other cool thing is, once you find your tribe, let's say you put up something on Instagram that you want to get noticed and nobody's noticing it. You can text your tribe and go, hey, 5 or 10 people, would you guys mind commenting on this latest Instagram post? I'm really trying to bump it up. And they'll do that for you. So if you find your tribe, they're willing to do that and help you out. And that's super important. And so I encourage everybody to do that. I hear a lot about Instagram pods, where people come together just to comment on others' Instagram posts. I'm just always a fan of organic, and if that doesn't seem organic to you, then I wouldn't do it. A lot of times what happens is a couple of people in the pod end up posting all the time on other accounts. They like and comment on other accounts, and then some of the pod members don't do it, so it ends up being uneven and doesn't do what you need it to do. So I'm kind of anti-Instagram pods, and I hate to say that, but I think you're better off growing organically, finding your tribe, connecting with those in person, online, or just online, and having those people become your biggest fans too. So some of the real basics in terms of how we're getting started are, people want to know, should they do a business account or a personal account on Instagram? And I recommend a business for a few different reasons. So with a business account, you get insights, which are great. And for that, more than anything else, they're super helpful. Also, for Instagram business accounts, I believe that if you want people to shop through your Instagram, it has to be a business account, but don't quote me on that. And I also believe that you get a website link if you're on a business account versus personal. But the insights alone make it worth it. So to start with, and when we're diving into our Instagram workshop, I highly encourage you to sign up for a business account. If you currently have personal, switch over to a business account. I think you'll be happy with the insights, and you'll be happier with how it works for you. So that's step one. Now that you have that business account and get started, you're going to pull up your profile. And this is when someone visits your Instagram profile, this is what they see. So there's a couple of things in here. First of all, be sure you have a great headshot in there. If you don't have a headshot, you're going to want a headshot, right? So get one. Don't just get this picture that nobody can see it's you. If you're branding yourself, I recommend that you use a photo of you. If you're branding your business, you can use your logo, but people connect with you, not with your logo. So I always recommend putting a photo of you in there. And then you get to put your username here, your handle, your handle up here. This is your name under your handle, and then this is your industry, and you get to add all of those. So for your username or your handle, are you picking your company or your name? Decide which one you're going to go with. If you pick a company, I highly recommend that you put your actual name here, because I can't tell you how many times I've searched for someone on Instagram who's got a generic company name, like Marketing Is Us, and then I try and find them and they don't have their personal name here, and that's the person I know, and I can't figure out who it is to connect with them. So I really encourage you, I like branding with my name. I could have put Tira Strategies here, but I decided to go with Lisa Nichols because I thought it was better branding for me. But again, if you're going to put your company name up here, definitely put your username down here, and I'll show you in a second how you get in and do all that, and then pick your industry. And then you want to work on your profile. When I hold in-person workshops, I actually make people go over and do their profiles and give them a lot of input with this. So we're not going to do that here, but if you're in my group, we actually just did an Instagram profile challenge and had people share their profiles and make recommendations. So if you're stuck for something, go ahead and post in my group and tag me, and I'm happy to take a look at it. But make this fun. You know, don't just make it, well, I sell stuff, or I do this, or I do that. Make it fun and interesting. So for me, I wanted to put a few things I am, but I also wanted to talk about my Facebook group, right? And I wanted to do it in a fun, engaging way. So I came up with this, and I used my hashtags in it. So my recommendation is to play around with your profile, find some that you like, you know, some other profiles that sound good that you like, kind of, you know, not copy, but you can use their guidelines for what you're going to do. Put a hashtag or two in there. Make sure, I think it's 150 characters. And then you're going to put your link in here, that link, right? And so with this, if you guys notice, I use something called Linktree. And I love Linktree because it lets you put in more than one link. If you click on this, it goes to 3 or 4 different links that I have. One goes to my website, one goes to the workshop I'm promoting, one goes to my Facebook group. So while most Instagram accounts, you can only put one link here, if you use Linktree, it actually, you click that, you get options for 4 different links. And so that way you can add more links. So I love Linktree. You get to it through the right here, linktr.ee, and you can go in and set it up super easily once that you link your Instagram account. So I think that Linktree is very helpful for businesses to use. I highly recommend it. And then you're also going to turn on your notifications. Okay, so if let me go back for a second. If you click here for edit profile, you're going to get taken into this. Here's where you have your name. Ooh, sorry guys, I didn't mean to do that. Here's where you have your name, your username, your link, your website, and then your bio. And then, oh, good Lord, I got to stop doing that. Sorry. And then underneath you have your page, your business information, your category, etc., and private information. So before you do anything, be sure this is all filled out. This is also where you can change your profile photo. So make sure you fill this out and play around with your bio to make it fun and exciting, engaging. I'll probably do for a redo of my bio. But again, for me, I wanted to highlight my Facebook group, which is why I put that there. And then when you click on my Linktree, my Facebook group is one of the options that you can choose for it. So spend a little bit of time on your profile and make it look good, because that's what people are looking at for you. And so they want to know, you know, they want to know about you, but they want to know about you in a fun way, and you want to encourage them through this profile to follow you. So that's important, and that's why I'm telling everybody to do that. So next, before we even start with content, let's talk about being engaging, and not engaging like wedding engaging, but engaging as in engaging other accounts. So before you even start to post, I would recommend that you find other accounts to follow on Instagram. Go in, run some searches, take a look at what friends are posting. If there's businesses you follow on Facebook, those businesses probably have Instagram accounts too. So people that you meet networking, follow them on Instagram. So get together a list and start following people on Instagram. Sometimes Instagram will have recommendations. You can go with them or not go with them. I follow a lot of people I meet through networking. I follow people I meet in my group or who post in my group. And then I follow some celebrities and other big accounts just for the fun of it to keep up to date. But so those I'm not so worried about, but the local people are the ones that you need to be engaging with. So follow the accounts and then start to go in and comment and love their pictures or whatever they're posting. I really like to encourage you to, for every 5 loves that you have or likes, make 1 comment, because everybody can click the heart button to comment really easily, but it takes a little bit more to make a comment, and people love seeing comments on their pages. So become the kind of Instagrammer that you want to get on your page. Become that person that likes stuff, that comments on them, that shares, etc. You can even reshare other posts on your page. You can't do it straight from Instagram, so you have to get a reposting application that you can use. I think I use one that is just called straight up a repost app, and that works well for me. Yeah, mine is called Repost, and you can use that too. So, so use that, engage with other people, like, comment, share before you even do anything. And get in a groove of spending a few minutes each day or a couple of times a week to go into your Instagram feed and like and love other things and comment on them. And by doing that, people will be engaging with you. So it all starts with engaging other people so that they ultimately then engage with you. And that's the name of the game. Social media is about being social, and it's about encouraging conversation. So it's not just about pushing out information. It's about being a friend on social media to other people, whether or not you've met them. And so that's why engagement and interactivity with other accounts is so important. So don't be afraid to follow other people. You don't have to be one of those people that doesn't follow anyone because you're like too cool for that. Follow other people, engage with them, interact with them, and I think that you'll find that comes back on your end so that other people are more likely to engage with you. I will tell you that the people who engage most on my Instagram are ones that we've had these relationships with, right? So I post on their stuff, they comment on my stuff. A lot of them are people that I met in person, and we continue the relationship online, which is why finding your tribe is so important. So I think that connectivity for me is a big word, because you want to connect with people in person, you want to connect online, you want to engage with them online and in person, and you just want to keep that going and keep those conversations going. And so that to me is the most important thing. And by doing that, you'll find that your organic growth on Instagram without buying followers and being in pods, you'll find that your growth in Instagram definitely happens. Maybe slowly, but it sure happens, and you have the kind of people that are more likely to become clients of yours. Excuse me. So next we get to content, which is really where we're going to spend a lot of time here. And I wanted to talk about the different types of content that you can post on Instagram, because a lot of us are in service industries. And so posting content can be challenging if you're in a service industry, because you don't have product photos that you can post. And so what do you really post? Are you struggling for images? And I think that you really need to spend some time sitting down and figuring out what your account's going to be about. For me, I do social media marketing. So technically, it's pretty easy to find stuff. I find a ton of articles about social media marketing, but not so much images. So for me, my Instagram account has become giving people tips on better using social media by using graphics that relate to the tips. What I'm doing in terms of networking events, I like posting quotes that are inspirational, because for me, I always need a kick in the butt, so I appreciate the inspirational quotes. And doing like behind the scenes look. And I also post pictures of my animals. Now, whether or not business people like it, I don't know, but I love it. So I use that too, even on my business account. So you need to decide what your content is going to be. And you need to figure out what kind of theme you have for your content. I'm trying to think if we have any clients that, so one of my clients does support braces for dogs and cats. They're called dog legs. And, typically you'd think it would be easy because people love dogs, but coming up with a way to integrate the business into what we do on social was kind of the challenge. And so what we did was we post a lot of tips about dogs and what you can do with your dog. And I'll use technically their photos are stock photos, so we'll talk about stock photos in a minute. So we'll talk about tips on like getting your, what to do if your dog's bored, how to brush your dog's teeth, the type of protection your dog needs in the snow and ice, and always share those with images. And then we'll also highlight some of the products that they have. We use dog quotes. There's a lot of days that relate to dogs, like National Dog Adoption Day, so we use that a lot. And I'm trying to think. And then, if we come across funny memes of dogs, we do that too. So for them, we didn't just want to push out, buy our stuff, here's our products, here's how it's used. We wanted people to have fun with it. And so by posting the days of, and, let's say there was I'm trying to think, it was like a specially abled dog day. So we put a picture of a dog in a little cart and said, do you have a pet that you love that's specially abled? Double tap to like us. So that kind of stuff, encouraging engagement, but also relating to the dog lovers out there, was how we decided to run the social media for this client. Now, some people might say it's a little easier with dogs, and I get that, but I'd like to challenge you with what you have to figure out how you're going to run your social media and what's going to matter to your clients. You know, again, for me, with a social media marketing company, I can post a lot of tips about using social, and I do that. But I also love to highlight other businesses that I network with. So when I'm networking, I'm always posting stuff. Like if I go out to Rowan Tree, co-working space in Herndon, I'll always take a picture there and say, hey, I'm with these great people at Rowan Tree today. It's so much fun. So I'm trying to interact, you know, tag other businesses, but also give people a glimpse of what's going on in my life. So if you haven't done it yet and you're just kind of thinking you're going to post the stuff that you sell or do, I'd like to encourage you to take a few minutes and step back and figure out, well, what is my account going to be about? Like, what kinds of stuff do I want to post about? What do I want people to know? And the rule of thumb is that you have to, you should inform and entertain 80% of the time, and you should only promote 20% of the time. So you can't just put up posts saying, buy my stuff, you know, visit our website all the time. You actually want to pull other things in and then use those promo posts, like 1 out of every 80%, 1 out of every 5 times can be a promo post. So if you're posting 5 days a week, that's once a week, right? So just be sure that you spend time figuring out what you're going to post about. And you know, that's crucial. You know, if we were, so if this is in person, I say, okay, well, put me on pause, put this on pause and spend time doing it. So I'd like to encourage you guys to put this on pause and then spend a few minutes trying to figure out what you want to post about and what you want to be kind of your theme if you haven't done that already. One of my friends is a jewelry designer, Melissa Liu. And so Melissa posts gorgeous pictures of her jewelry, which are really cute, but she also travels a lot to different locations. She does marathons, and then she also takes pictures of her jewelry in locations. So she does a lot of gorgeous vacation photos that are, you know, or travel photos that are just beautiful. So it's Melissa Lew. I think it's Melissa Liu Jewelry, if you want to check her out. Sorry, guys, I have a tickle in my throat. I want to make sure I'm not coughing horrendously on camera, which I'm going to do. Anyway, so Melissa does that. So it's a really cool blend of her jewelry with these travel photos. And I think it makes for a lovely Instagram feed. And so I love her feed. And that's a great way for her to incorporate what's going on with her jewelry with other stuff in her life that matters to her. So for types of images, like I said, I like to do networking events. I like to do quotes. I like to do social media tips. Interestingly enough, on Instagram, your main Instagram feed, photos perform better than videos. So you're always going to, you know, take a look at your insights to be sure that that's right. But try and focus on photos on Instagram. Don't worry about videos so much. And we're actually, towards the end of this, going to talk about IGTV, where your videos can go too. So we can go through that. But your photos. You can do networking events like I do all the time. You know, if I'm out and about somewhere, I'll take a picture. Like I was at a really cool place yesterday near Catholic University, and I need to post that picture on my feed because I took a quick snapshot of the event or the place I was at, and I wanted to post that. So, and I will probably post that tagging like the business that had me come speak with them. So again, interactivity. So you know, events that you attend are always good. If you have products, definitely take some great pictures of that. I would, if you're putting your product in a neat location, take a picture of that, but otherwise you probably do want some nice pictures of your products that are either having them in use or, you know, or more professional looking. People love behind the scenes photos. So I think that that's always a good one to do. Oh my gosh, one time I was doing a live event and it was right around Christmas time. And so I had my camera, my computer downstairs. I was doing a live event in the basement, which is kind of an office-y area for me. And I needed more light. So I had like 3 lamps rigged up and I had my computer stacked up on something and everything was precarious. And just past the table were like mounds of Christmas stuff. So when I'm online, I'm looking all professional and great. And then if you kind of pan back a little, you see all the madness that is my house. So I actually did the live and then I took a step back and took a picture of, you know, the disaster that was my live broadcast area to share on Instagram to get everybody to see that, hey, it's not so glamorous. And you're doing that because, again, that lets people get to know the real you, the authentic you. You know, so while the initial stuff is all polished and great, like the authentic you might be a little bit messier. And so by seeing that glimpse of you, they're more likely to trust you because they feel that you're sharing something with them that, you know, is very personal to you. So behind the scenes are always great. Stock photos can be used too. I use it with my my dog legs client. We'll use stock photos to show dogs on agility training or brushing dogs' teeth. So I'm going to say a few things about using stock photos. First of all, be sure you have the rights to use them. I like to pay for mine. There are some cheap options out there. In terms of a less expensive paid stock photo site, 123RF as in Frank.com, 123rf.com is a pretty good photo site, and they're much less expensive than, say, iStockPhoto or I'm trying to think of the other ones, like the other expensive ones. So they're actually decent in terms of cost. So I will use stock photos from them. I also pay to use feminine stock photos, like the ones you see here. I use Pixie Stock and Haute Stock, Haute stock, to get feminine stock photos on a subscription basis. So you can use stock photos as long as you make them your own. And by doing that, I mean like taking them, creating a graphic with it and branding it, or using it for something specific with your client. Like for the dog photos, we'll use stock photos, like let's say if it's about agility training. Most of the time I'll put the client, actually I don't even do that. Like I don't even put the client logo on, I just put the stock photo out there because it's relating to the article that we're doing or the information we're giving. And we're not doing anything to alter the photo. So I will use that because it underscores the point of what we're trying to do in the description. And it's relevant to the description, and they're cute ones. Like I look for fun, cute ones. So I'm hopeful that people will know that those aren't our photos, understand they're stock photos, but understand that there's more information behind the photo itself. So you can use stock photos. A lot of times you can stick it in Canva, like I did here, and then go ahead and make a branded graphic out of it. So you're just kind of playing around with the photo and using it and repurposing it for your use. And so I think it's fine to do. Again, be sure you pay for your photos or get them from a site that allows you to use their photos without paying for it. Never, ever, ever Google Images and use those Googled images. They have all kinds of copyright issues. Getty Images, who has most of the images, will come after you. I've had it happen to a client of mine, not for anything I use, thank goodness. So even if you Google and look for photos that don't have copyright licensing requirements, use those. You can use those, but I would use them sparingly. I get nervous about using them, so I'll usually take like a screenshot or put down where I got the image from, just in case anyone ever comes back. I would be able to say, well, no, it was on this site, and I looked up my copyright licensing, and it was fine to use. So if you guys know what I mean, when you Google images, you can go into advanced search and actually designate that you want something that's not copyright protected, I believe is the wording, and use those, but use them sparingly. I prefer that you get them from a free stock photo site that allows you to do that, or you pay for them. And the two free stock photo sites that I like to use are Pexels, Pexels.com, Pexels.com, or Pixabay, Pixabay.com. They both have gorgeous free stock photos. You can also use something called Unsplash, UNSPLASH. They have pretty neat photos that are free. And then Libre Stock, Libre Stock, Libre Stock, compiles free photos from 45 websites. You can always go on there. They've been weird lately, so I haven't been using them as much. So those are a whole bunch of resources for stock photos to use so that you never, ever, ever have to Google images and use the Googled images. And what I do when I download those free stock photos is I actually, I will put, when I download it, I save it to a folder on my laptop, and I will put where I got it from. So it'll say like Pixabay small dog or something, just so I can always link back to where I got it from. I know it's probably in the picture, but just in case, like for me, that's what I do to keep track of it. So however you guys do that, do it, but don't stop Googling images if you're doing that, okay? And if you have any questions about why, feel free to ask. I can talk extensively about that topic. So anyway, Stock photos are fine to use. I wouldn't use all stock photos. Like I would mix them in with your photos. Even for the dog client, like we use stock photos, we use pictures of their products, which are their photos. We actually have a lot of user-generated content where people send in pictures of their dogs in their support brace. So we use those a lot. And for my quotes, I've got kind of a couple of standard backgrounds. So if you're using stock photos, interspersed with regular photos, and don't pretend they're your photo. Like don't go and, I'm trying to think, if you're in, talking about the mountains and you get a stock photo of a mountain, don't say, when I visited this beautiful mountain, I felt this way and this is why. Don't do that. Don't pretend they're yours. Let them sit as stock images. I mean, you don't have to specifically say, hey, this is a stock photo, but don't pretend it's your image. Okay. I don't think that's fair to anybody, and especially not the person who created the image. Some of the free stock photo sites ask that you give, you give a shout out to the person who took the photo. Some don't. So I think either way is okay for now. Just do whatever you're comfortable with. So let's talk about captions when we're talking about this stuff. And with captions, be sure you use your captions. This drives me insane. I see too many times where people post a picture and don't caption it. This is prime real estate, you guys. If you're not using this, you're losing out. Like if you're just posting an image and don't talk about why it links back to your business or why it links back to you or why it's important to you, you're totally missing out on what you're doing on Instagram. You can put hashtags in your captions. You can tag other people in your captions. But use your captions. And the ideal character length is probably smaller than you think. The ideal caption length is 138 to 150 characters, which is no more than what your bio is. So it's a really short amount of space to get in your idea. So you're going to have to work to get your ideas across in smaller amounts of words. Like some people love to post really long caption descriptions. I am not one of those people. If I do 2 paragraphs, it's because I'm probably talking about my workshop. So I would say short and sweet is good, but definitely use your captions. Don't forget about that, okay? That is really, really important. And then tag people. I posted this picture the other day, and you can tag different companies who are on Instagram. And when I said something about interacting, like this is important for me in terms of tagging. Tagging is a great way to interact, right? So when you tag people, it shows up that somebody's tagged you, and they can go ahead and share that photo on their page, or they can comment on it. So whenever you can tag, now this goes back to, can you always find the person you're trying to tag? And my answer to that is no, because sometimes it's impossible to find a person because they haven't made it easy to find them on Instagram. But try and tag the people you can, find out their Instagram handles. And like for this, Danielle might have shared it from the Danielle Daily, DC Fempreneur might have shared it, Lake Ann Brewhouse might have shared it. So I got in front, by doing this one photo and putting in a caption and tagging it, I got a bunch of people to share my stuff who might not have done it or commented on it. So I got in front of a bigger audience. And that's the name of the game. Like you always want to get in front of the maximum number of people you can. So tagging people and using your captions is a great way to do that. And then along with tagging, let's talk about hashtags. So this is really where you can bump up your visibility on Instagram. Using hashtags is a great way to get in front of a bigger audience. So the deal is that there's 2 types of hashtags. There's branded and then there's general hashtags. And a branded hashtag is one that you use for your business. Like let's say I might use a branded hashtag, something like hashtag Tira Strategies, right? Like whenever I post it. That's branded so that hashtags make stuff discoverable. So if someone was going to search for hashtag Tira Strategies, whoever posted hashtag Tira Strategies, they'd be able to see that post and that post would pop up. Branded hashtags for most of us don't matter. Like we're not big enough that it's going to matter to us that somebody uses a hashtag with our business name. But larger organizations, like let's say Ford Motor Company, Subaru, those bigger companies, they might have a hashtag that relates to their marketing. Like let's say someone might, I don't know if it's Ford or someone might say hashtag live my dream. So if anyone searches on that hashtag, they're going to see that it relates to, let's say, Ford, and go and follow Ford. Like they'll, if you search for a hashtag, you get a list of all the posts that pop up with that hashtag. You can click on them and then see what's going on. And similarly, if someone posts hashtag Ford can share that. Ford can see that hashtag and share it, and and so they can comment on that post too. I think I'm getting a little bit confusing with this. Hashtags make your stuff discoverable. So don't worry about using branded hashtags so much. It's not really necessary unless you're a bigger brand or you're trying to create a user-generated contest where, let's say, you ask people to share a photo with your product and use this hashtag, and then you'll repost it. If you're not doing that, don't worry about it. Most of us are using general hashtags. And those are hashtags that are just out there in the Instagram world that we, that relate to stuff we're doing. So what you want to do is develop a hashtag set. The ideal number of hashtags in an Instagram post is not 30, the max. It's actually 7 to 10 hashtags. So I like to create a set of hashtags that has a bunch of hashtags, and I like to pull from that depending on my post and switch it up. In fact, best practices for Instagram recommend that you switch up your hashtags for each post. Apparently, if you use the same hashtags all the time, your account kind of gets flagged and they might shut you down for a little bit because they think you're being spammy or something. So your challenge is to find hashtags that relate to your business and keep a set of those hashtags in a document or on your phone. And then every time you post on Instagram, use those hashtags, but use different ones. Like let's say you have a set of 20. Use 5 one day, a different 7 another day, mix and match. Do that with your hashtags and include some hashtags that have big numbers on them and hashtags that have lower numbers. So why do we do that? So people are using hashtags to talk about what's going on in their life, right? So some of them may have, let's say, if you search for hashtags in Instagram, which you can do in your search bar right up here, right? So if you do that and you see that these hashtags pop up, you can click on the posts and kind of see what people are posting about, but you can also see how many times the hashtag has been used. So I like to use some smaller hashtags with, let's say, less than 1,000 posts about it with some bigger, huge ones. The reason you do that is to make yourself discoverable by people who are following the bigger hashtags. So let's say my dog client, to go back to that, like if we do dogs of Instagram, that's a huge hashtag. Now, chances are if someone searches on dogs of Instagram hashtag, their stuff isn't going to pop up, but it may put them in front of a bigger audience, so I like to use the bigger hashtags. But then I also like to use a smaller hashtag, less than like 1,000 posts, because that's a smaller audience, so my stuff is more likely to get in front of them. When you hashtag something, if someone runs a search on it, like all the search results pop up, and it would be really cool if your search result was in the one that popped up, because then they might click on it and might get a new follower or two, you might get more discoverable, more people might follow you, which is the name of the game. So that's why you go for some smaller ones and then the bigger ones just in case your really cool stuff popped up when someone was doing a search on bigger hashtags. So hashtags are super important on Instagram. I would say important enough that you shouldn't even be putting up a post without them. And if you use a hashtag in your bio, that's discoverable too, which is why I use hashtag social media guru. If anyone's ever searching on social media guru, I want my account to pop up. So I want them to see that that's what I do. If you can see these that Rita said speaker life or speaker lifestyle, right? So with that, if you're trying to become a speaker, using that hashtag might be good because people might be searching on speaker of life or speaker or social media speaker, and then hopefully my name will pop up too. So with hashtags, develop your set of bigger ones. What I would encourage you to do is take 1 or 2 that you think are relevant, run a search on your Instagram account, see what pops up, and then go ahead and click on those and go into each post and see what other hashtags that people are using. If you do that a few times, you'll develop a set of hashtags that seem pretty normal for your business, and you can mix the bigger ones with the smaller ones, use 7 to 10 per post, and if someone runs a search on that hashtag, your stuff will pop up if you're using some of the smaller ones, and then, hopefully you can gain new followers, get in front of a bigger audience, name of the game. There is a program, oh, that didn't want to go. Okay, what did I do here? Oh, okay. there's a program called hashtagify.me. It goes on your phone and on your computer. And what they will do, it's free for 30 days, so try it out. They'll actually recommend hashtags to use. And the cool thing is they'll recommend some bigger hashtags and some smaller hashtags. And they'll recommend hashtags that get you noticed now, hashtags that get you noticed later, and hashtags that get you noticed in 90 days. I'm not sure how they do it. It's a really cool program, and I really like it. So check it out. Like I said, they have a 30-day free trial, and then you might find that you love it so much that it's totally worth it to buy it because it's such a great thing. So I know that hashtags, I know people have a lot of questions about them usually, so if you guys have questions about hashtags, go ahead and tag me in the group, and I'm happy to talk about that. So I think on your main Instagram feed, like the big things in order to get people to notice you and get them to follow you and interact are to be consistent, be authentic, use a business account, engage with other accounts, whether it's people you've met online or in person, be sure you engage with them. Create content that people are going to want to see. And, that's the area people get stuck a lot on. Again, follow the 80-20 rule, 80% inform and entertain, 20% self-promote. And I think if you can stay away from that self-promotion trap, you'll get in your groove with Instagram, and you'll see what works and what doesn't, and what people like and what they don't. But your content has to be true to you, which is why I'm not going to say, well, here's a blanket idea of what you need to post for your content. It has to be what works for you, and it's got to be stuff that your audience wants to see too. So those are kind of the two things. And we're going to talk about insights at the end so that you have an idea of what your audience is looking for and wants to see, okay? So with your main Instagram feed, that's how, and I'm sorry, so we got stuck at content. Then we talked about captions, tagging people, and using your hashtags. And all of those things, if you do all of those, you will definitely see an uptick in what's going on in Instagram. I think the biggest thing is to be authentic, but second biggest might be to use your hashtags. So be sure to always do that. And I think that you guys will see a difference if you're not seeing it, if you're kind of stuck in Instagram now. So another good way to get in front of your audience is to use Instagram stories. And if you go on your main Instagram page, where I have the arrow, is where you're going to see Instagram stories. So what that is, stories are, Instagram started them basically to compete with Snapchat, where the stuff is up for 24 hours and then it disappears. So if you use it right, it actually gives you kind of a cool way to interact with people that not everybody does. The reason Instagram stories work well right now is because they're quick, they go away quickly, so people want to catch them when they're there, and they also are, not everybody's using them. So, I mean, a lot of people are starting to use them more, but if you can kind of jump on Instagram stories and start using them effectively, I think that you'll be kind of ahead of the game with that, and you'll see that more people are noticing you. So to do Instagram stories, you actually have to click on this little icon here, and okay, go back. Click on this little icon, and then you can either take a picture when you do that, and I can't show you guys my phone, and I didn't screenshot that one, sorry. So it's gonna pop up and look at your camera. You can take a picture, you can use one of their cute filters like you do with Snapchat, hundreds of different things. You can record a quick video on there. Instagram, their videos are, oh my God, I didn't put it down. I think they're like 15 seconds or something. So your videos are quick. You can go live on Instagram, and that actually, you can keep going live on Instagram. What that does is pushes it out to your main feed, but then it disappears from your main feed when you do that. So just an aside. So I would say going live is more kind of an advanced thing for Instagram stories, but in the beginning, you can certainly do photos and videos. So you're gonna click on your icon and go into Insta Stories. You can either take a picture and use your cute filters if you want, or a quick video, 15-second video, or you can use a photo in your phone. What you do is click on Instagram Stories, swipe your finger up, and all your pictures will populate there. And so you can take a picture on your phone and put it in Instagram Stories. Now, the cool thing about Instagram Stories is there's no place to caption, but you can write on the photo. So you can click the font icon at the top and start writing on the photo. And you can make it backlit, you can make it different fonts. You can move it around once you're done with it. So it's kind of hard to show you guys here because Instagram's a phone thing and not really a computer thing. Usually I have everybody work on Instagram stories and get into it and get started with it, and we can't do that here. But what I'm going to tell you guys when you're watching this is to put your computer on pause if you want and play around with your Instagram stories. And then ask me the questions that you have about it, because I'm sure that without seeing it, it's a little bit confusing. So anyway, you can do all kinds of fun stuff with your Instagram stories. You can actually mention people, you can use hashtags, and you can put in location, and you can put in stickers, and you can put in polls and questions. So there's all kinds of fun things you can do with that. Some of the stock photo sites like Hootstock even have set up like a poll already. So it's kind of pre-populated with a poll, and you just have to stick it in your Instagram story. So the best way to figure this out is to play with it, you guys. And you can always, once you post a story, it's always possible to delete it. So don't feel like you're stuck with it, right? If you do it and it's horrible, just delete the darn thing. What'll happen is it'll post, then you go onto your story, click, there's 3 dots at the bottom, you can click those dots and it'll say delete if you want to delete it. So nothing's permanent. And even if you don't delete it, it's only up for 24 hours. So with this, people can have fun. A lot of people use it to post things that they don't want on their main Instagram feed. You know, so let's say I posted a picture of a cardinal outside my window. It was cute, but it didn't need to be on my main Instagram feed, but I did want to post it somewhere because, you know, if it's not on social media, it didn't happen. So I posted it in my story, so it would just went up and then disappeared after 24 hours. And I put a cute little comment. It was a fat cardinal. I don't know if this cardinal was pregnant or just fat, but she was big. So I was just like, I've never seen a cardinal this big in my entire life. I know you're not supposed to ask a woman if she's pregnant, but seriously, this cardinal looked like she was pregnant. So anyway, and I know that it's not the right term for cardinals, but anyway, that didn't need to be on my main Instagram feed, but it was a cute thing to put in stories. So that's why I put it in there. So kind of figure out how you're going to use stories. And I'd like to encourage you to check out other accounts and do best practices. And this is, I even took this one from Hootsuite. And what they're telling you here is that bigger brands create tutorials on Instagram. If you could look at this, they take an image and tell you what they're going to do, make DIY matchstick cookies, give you the ingredients by taking a picture and then labeling them, and giving you directions on how to do everything with photos. So what will happen is you upload, you put in an Instagram, you go into Instagram stories, click on your profile picture, and swipe up and put in your picture, and then do your writing on it. And you can write, move it around, do another writing, move it around, so you can get multiple writings on it. And then click your Instagram stories button in the top left again to add another photo. And do that until you've added your sequence of photos like Etsy did here. And what will happen is when someone clicks on your Instagram stories, these will pop up in sequence. So you see them here all together, but what happens is the first one pops up for, gosh, is it like 10 seconds or something? And then you see the next one and next one. So it's actually, it's telling a story via these different photos. And that's how some brands use them very creatively, and I think it's beautiful. So if you have the time to do that, play around with it. Do a tutorial. Like this one was a tutorial in 8 pictures, right? Do a tutorial in something where you take different pictures, put them in stories, put writing on them, and let people see the process from start to finish. You can also do specials that are like one-day only specials, because your Instagram stories are only up for 24 hours unless you save them to your main account, which is also possible too. So what you can do is, let's say, put up a special and tell people on your main Instagram feed or on Facebook or on Twitter, check out Instagram. We're running a special that's one day only. Go to our stories to find out the details. And so that way you're driving people to Instagram stories, and they're looking for the special, and then it's only up 24 hours, so you have to worry about taking it down again. So I think those are some of the best practices. If you guys have seen anybody else do stories really well, let me know, because I always love to share stuff like that. I think people can be so inventive with this, and I think there's a lot of really cool things going on. I will tell you that when I went out to California to Napa Valley, it was like a bucket list trip for me. Actually, we visited San Francisco and Napa, and I decided I am one of those people who usually doesn't share vacation photos online, right? I just, don't do it. But this time I decided I was trying to be more visible for my Instagram presence. So I talked with my business coach, and she's like, well, why don't you put your vacation in Instagram stories? And I said, well, that's a good idea. So what I did was took a bunch of pictures while I was in San Francisco and in Napa, and I put them in my stories. So some of them were, you know, like sequential, and then the ones that were on for 24 hours would drop off to be replaced by other ones. But it gave people a look at my trip as it was happening, and I put in descriptions of it so that they could see what was going on and kind of come along on the trip with me. And I thought it was a really cool way to use Instagram stories. And then for me, I loved it because I could see it, you know, I could take a look back, oh my God, that's so cute. I can't, you know, that was really neat that we did that. So it gave me a way to do that. Because they were only up for 24 hours, I didn't feel as bad posting about my vacation as it was happening. I will tell you that that stuff I put on Facebook like after I got home. There's no way I was going to do it while I was on vacation. But I felt comfortable enough with Instagram stories to put it on there. And I didn't feel that multitude of pictures needed to be on main Instagram. Like I felt it would be inundating my audience if I put up picture after picture of what I was doing every day on main Instagram. But I thought it was really cool to do on stories because it was a way to capture it in the moment. And with Facebook, I then went back and added the album after we got home. So for me, that was a really fun way to use stories. And the other cool thing is that, oh, sorry, I don't have it. You actually, I'm going to go back a few. You can actually, on your feed, sorry guys, this is crazy. You have highlights, if you can see on my main Instagram feed. So my San Francisco trip was a highlight. So when things are in your stories while they're in there, you can actually click on that picture, the 3 dots, and it'll say save to highlight, and it'll tell you which highlight you do. And you can put these, you can start a new highlight, or you can save it ahead of time and do it, and you can create your own graphics for the highlight. So highlights are a lot of fun, and they're a way to capture that. So for me now, I've got a highlight with all my San Francisco pictures that I put in Instagram stories. So I can go back and look at it, and if anyone wants to see about my San Francisco trip, they can go back and look at it. And I think that's really cool. And then, you know, it also gives them a way to look at what is going on in my life and see all of that stuff compiled like a Facebook album, but different. So right now I've got a highlight for my San Francisco trip and then a retreat I went on because, again, I put the retreat pictures in Insta stories. It was silly, goofy stuff. It didn't need to be on my main Instagram feed. Like I would take 1 or 2 pictures out of that retreat and put it on Instagram feed, but most of it I stuck in stories and then saved it all to highlight. If there's a photo that you really love in Instagram stories, you actually can save that to your main feed. Again, once you put it up there, click back on your stories highlight, and that picture will pop up. And while that picture is up, hit the 3 dots, and it will say share as a regular post. So you can do that too, share it as a highlight, etc. You can also tag people, and if you do that, this little arrow at the top of your Instagram profile highlights, it pops up with something like it says rad or one or something like that, and click on that and you can see when other people have tagged you in their stories. Now the thing is that if it's after 24 hours, you can't see like what they did, so you have to kind of keep track of that and go in within 24 hours. But that allows you to comment in their stories, which is essentially a message, and allows you to interact. So it's a fun way to interact with people, tag them, get things going, and then everyone who sees the story then sees that too and can see the comments. So again, more interactivity. And I would encourage you to take some time and just figure out and play with Instagram stories, play with the font, play with the stickers, you know, play with the filters, have fun with it. And if you hate it, don't save it, you know, or just delete it and just go from there. But it's a really fun way to, I think, give people a bigger glimpse into what's going on in your life than most of us want to do in Instagram stories. Like a lot of us are very concerned with how our feed looks in Instagram. So using stories to kind of put stuff that you don't really want hitting your main feed is a good way to use it. And it's fun. And people feel like they're getting extra when they look at stories. Like that's the place you take to give them extra stuff. So as a business, you know, My Messy Office or my trip is extra stuff that my main Instagram people don't get, but those people that go to stories think they're getting something special. So if you kind of have that way to look at it, it really works well for everybody. And then you get, you know, again, you encourage those relationships by drawing people into you by making them feel like they're getting something not everybody is. So those are great ways to use Instagram stories. They're a lot of fun and I love them. So I would encourage you guys to try them out. I'm trying to think, we talked about highlights. Canva, if everyone's using Canva, and if you guys have heard me talk about anything, I talk about Canva. So if you're using Canva to create graphics, there actually are some Canva templates you can use that are for Instagram stories. And I didn't take a picture, but I used one, I think on my feed. I thought it was really cute, so I used something to do a story feed. To do a story, I used a Canva stories template to do a story, and it was kind of like a background with a snapshot, so it was pretty cool. I thought it was neat, and I liked it. So that may be something where for all your stories you use this Canva template, and and you make it a same look, and it's really cool looking, and you can use it for a sequence of stories. So check out Canva templates. If you're using Canva, you can get on it to just search Canva templates and you can pop up there. Look for Instagram stories and you'll see different templates. And I think they're a lot of fun to use and they give you some new creative ways to highlight what you have going on in your life in Instagram stories. Okay. So let's talk about IGTV. So what happens with IGTV is that usually with videos on Instagram, you can't have a video that's longer than 1 minute, right? Which is a pretty quick video. So Instagram came up with IGTV. I think it's their way to compete with YouTube, to allow you to upload videos that are from 15 seconds to 10 minutes long. So you can do their full screen and vertical videos, and they have, you use sound on them. So if you've got a tutorial that's under 10 minutes, you can put it on IGTV. IGTV is actually a different app. But what happens is once you put a video in, if you can see in this graphic, it says new video from Rita Goodrow, how to get what you want or something. So you actually get a notice when someone that you follow puts up a video and you're on Instagram. And you can see the little TV thing is highlighted. So what happens is your videos on IGTV get pushed out to your followers to encourage them to look at it. So it's, again, another great creative way to get in front of more people because not everybody's using it. So the kinds of stuff that you can put on IGTV, first of all, it's got to be a video that you upload from your phone, right? So you need to have it on your phone, up to 10 minutes long, over 15 seconds long. And you can do tutorials, you can do events, you can do breaking news, you can do all kinds of stuff and get creative with it. And once you post it, it shows up on everybody's main Instagram feeds, but once it's posted and over, then it resides in your IGTV app too. So it stays there. So if someone wants to, if you're doing like sets of tutorials on how to use Instagram better, like if I was going to do that, I could put it in IGTV, and if someone checked out my IGTV feed, they'd see that I've done all these really cool tutorial videos. So again, not everybody's using IGTV. It's a great way to get in front of a bigger audience, and the super cool thing is that they actually push out videos on IGTV to your audience or to your followers, so people are more likely to check them out and see. It's a great tool to use if you're into video and like doing that. Go for it. I think that it's going to get more and more popular, so jumping on the bandwagon now before it gets too crowded in that space is always a good idea. And that's also why I recommend Instagram stories, because these spaces aren't that crowded right now, unlike, let's say, Facebook and how crowded Instagram's getting. So you can stand out a little bit easier than you can in the main feed. And by the way, and that brings us to the Instagram algorithm. I don't know that there's any rhyme or reason to how it works. I've heard things say that it might be a little bit chronological, but it isn't really. So again, similar to Facebook, it's hard to tell when your stuff is shown to people, and you can't rely on it being chronological so you can see all the newest stuff first. So your goal is to create content that's engaging so that people like it, and that way it stays at the top of their feeds or up there. Always the name of the game. So this is IGTV. If you guys haven't used it, I would encourage you to start using it. I think I've got like one video on mine, so I'm not maximizing its use as much as I should be. But if you do like shooting video, it's a great place to put stuff. And again, it gets pushed out to everybody, and they see it immediately, so Instagram's trying to weigh it more heavily. Which brings us to, we've kind of gone through a lot of the stuff on how to make your Instagram feed better, and we're actually right up at an hour, so good timing-wise. I talk super fast. So the last thing I want to go over are your insights. You guys need to use your insights, and that's why I told you in the beginning to have a business page, okay? Because a business page allows you to see your insights. Okay, this would have been smarter of me to do back in the beginning. I'm going to try and see if I can show you. I was smart enough to do this. Okay, so on your main Instagram page where you see all this stuff, including your profile, these 3 bars, if you click that, that's where your insights will appear. And I'm just making sure of that. Yes, so if you click those 3 bars at the top right-hand side under 100%, which is my battery life, that's how you get to your insights. And if you're not using your insights, I highly recommend that you do because they contain a wealth of information for you. I'm gonna slowly get back to that page. Sorry, guys. Okay, you can look at your activity on insights, your content, and your audience. It gives you information about your audience and when they're online. So spend a little bit of time checking out your insights to see what's going on. It tells you when your followers are online, times. So for me, nobody's online in the morning. If you guys can see, my like 3 a.m., 6 a.m., 9 a.m. starts to bulk up. And then my people are online from like 12 to 9. So if I'm posting in the morning, that's not really a good thing to do. I technically should be posting later on in the afternoon or evening. So helpful to use those insights. In terms of my locations, it looks like Washington, D.C. is my top one, which makes sense for me because, you know, that's where I meet most people. And I'm trying to see. It will tell you like how many interactions you've had when you go into activity. It'll tell you how many accounts you've reached. If you keep scrolling with your audience, you can get, and it's not popping up here, but you can get gender breakdowns, age ranges, and top locations, which are all super helpful. So like my followers are mostly 35 to 54. Most of them are women, not surprising. Most of them are online, 9 to 9. And most of them are Washington, D.C. with a slightly less than Reston. So it gives you valuable information about it. And then if you look at your activity, it tells you how many interactions you had, if your profile visits are up or down. And then on your content, it'll tell you your top posts for the week and how many times they were seen. It tells you what's going on with your stories, etc. So I love insights because it allows you to figure out what your audience wants to see, what they're most attracted to, and and where they are and how old they are and what matters to them. So this is great information. Again, you get it with a business account, which is why you really should be using a business account. So, and that was kind of the last thing I wanted to go over with you guys is the insights piece of it. Because if you're not using your insights, that stuff's all just like hanging there in a void. So that kind of brings us to wrapping it up. I know everybody knows how to reach me, but I have this slide here anyway. If you're not part of my group, please join. It's a free Facebook group, and I've been hitting Instagram pretty heavily in terms of tips the past 4 weeks or so. So I'm always giving tips. We actually have one day that's a go live day where I encourage people to go live and give a tip from their business. It's to get everybody to be able to go live in front of a camera, in front of an audience that's not like their friends or family or their business associates. So I encourage everyone that way. Usually I think Wednesdays are go live day. We have a promo day. We have a share your handle day. And I'm always adding tips and people are asking questions. So it's very fun. I have a business page, Twitter account, Instagram account, which we looked at, and then LinkedIn. And then there's always my email and phone. So these are things on how to reach me. And then I'm going to stop the share because you guys will have this slide. Okay, and back to me. So yay, we're back. Anyway, we went through that pretty quickly because I talk fast. And if anyone has questions, feel free to type them in. I will try to keep an eye on the chat. If you guys know how to use the chat, that's cool. Otherwise, I'm going to tell you a few things. So this is a quick overview of the basics of setting up your Instagram profile. If you guys aren't doing this stuff at this point and do that, I know that your interaction is going to go up. One of my favorite tricks on getting more followers is in most groups, if you're in a Facebook group, people have a share your handle day. We do that on Tuesday, maybe, I think. And I asked people to share their handles. So always, always, always post in that, because you will always pick up a few followers from Instagram. If you're not in groups, find a few groups that you like, that have a lot of, that you think are representative of what, what's going on in your life, or you're comfortable with, and comfortable posting in. And then figure out when they have their promo days or their days to share your handle, and go ahead and post in there and say, follow me on Instagram. And I think you'll find that because those people are in your group and they tend to interact with you, that you'll have some really good interactions. So do these things to build up your following. It's slow but steady. I actually had Jody took my class, and she had just been starting from zero, and she took the in-person workshop, and she said she grew her following like 100 people in a heartbeat. Now, she was starting from zero, but as Gary Vee says, and I'm going to say this without the cursing. Hold on. I could say it with the cursing, but where is it? Everybody starts with 0 followers. Gary said another word in there between 0 and followers, but everybody starts with 0 followers. So don't get discouraged. We all start from 0, and slow gradual growth is better, because those are going to be people who eventually become clients and who are attracted to what you're doing, what you're putting out in the universe of Instagram. So do these things to grow your following. Get your content to where you're comfortable with it and it sounds good. Like, I think content is a very unique thing for people, so it's hard for me to tell you guys what to post on content. I can give you general ideas of the stuff that I know works, but ultimately it's up to you as an individual to post content that resonates with you and that will resonate with your viewers. You can always ask people what they think about your content, or ask them what they want to see on Instagram if you're comfortable doing that. Like for me, if I wanted to, I could go in my group and say, hey, what do you guys like seeing on Instagram? Like, what are your top things? I could do a poll with it or something like that. So you can solicit feedback from your viewers if you want, but make sure it resonates with people. Make sure they're interested, and your insights are a great way. Like, if you keep putting up quotes and you look at your insights and they're not being reached and nobody's commenting, don't use quotes so much anymore. Or if you're putting up pictures of your dog like me and you want to see if people are actually paying attention, or want to see your dog or not, take a look at your insights. If the dog posts perform poorly, well, poor Gus is out the door because nobody wants to see him. Like, not out my door, but I wouldn't post about it anymore. So keep it on your insights. Engage. Work on your content. Work on scheduling it ahead of time. It is so hard to come up with great content spur of the moment. I always like to map out my content for the week so I know what I'm going to say, and I can schedule it ahead of time, and it's in there. And that way, when I'm on Instagram, I'm just kind of popping in to comment and like on other people's stuff. Use your hashtags, use your captions, use stock photos if you have to. Check out Instagram stories and have fun with them. The best thing to do is play with it. Sometimes if you get stuck, let the thing post and then delete it 5 seconds later. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Nobody's going to see it in that 5 seconds between you posting it and deleting it. The stickers are fun, the polls are fun, the questions are fun, and encourage interactivity on stories. So it's a good way to get your audience moving and get used to seeing you. If you guys have video content, upload that to IGTV, because I think you'll find that's very helpful in terms of really explaining who you are, what your product is, etc. And then use your insights. So do all of that, and you will have a better Instagram feed with more visibility and more followers. I can guarantee that. Now, if you guys are looking at this saying, oh my gosh, I'm not sure I can do all of this, I do offer free clarity calls to people to chat about what's going on with their social media. It's about 20 minutes to half an hour. We kind of talk through your strategy and seeing how it's going. Thank you so much for the thank you, too. I hope it was helpful. So, we kind of talk about strategy and what you're doing, and I'll give you some recommendations. I offer intensives. I offer half-day and full-day intensives, and Instagram is one of them, where we really work on your Instagram account. So that's something, if you feel like you really need a lot of help, I'm more than happy to do that with you. We either, usually do it in 2-hour blocks of time, and it's, either by Zoom or in person. So my intensives are a great way to get that push start that you really need to. As always, you can find me in my group, Social Visibility Society. You can email me, lisa@terrastrategies.com. Text me or call me. I'm not a huge phone person, but trying to get better about it, so that's always an option. And, just reach out to me. I love answering questions, love helping people with their social media. And if something we said wasn't clear, because I think I got a little caught up with the hashtag piece of it, if you guys want more clarity, let me know, and I can either jump online in the group or, you know, do a post about it or kind of walk you through something. So with that said, I'm going to stop the recording. Again, if you have any questions, reach out to me. And thank you all for your attention because this was a lot of fun and I hope you enjoyed it and I hope it was useful. So thank you.